This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judgy blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live Spring Training. By the way, we always play that highlight. Does everybody get to hear the Shohei Ohtani highlight? The 50-50 Club. Yes. Over the weekend, someone asked me about Shohei Ohtani, and I'm like, do we kind of gloss over that a man went 50-50 last year? Like, it wasn't that big of a deal?
It was just a notch in a lot of milestones for him and the Dodgers last year that we might overlook it.
50-50.
He was almost 50, almost a 60. He had 59 steals, 54 homers. He could have been a 60-60 guy almost.
50-50. I mean, in an era when professional athletes want to play less and get paid more. I mean, that's just a reality. We're always talking about how do we rest guys, how do we keep guys sharp. You go out and put up a season of 50-50. I mean, absolutely amazing. But today is the final show of spring training. Hard to believe. It is here. And I think if you're a real A's fan, you're a baseball fan, you can feel it. Because I know I can. My kids are home from college. My twins are home for spring break. And they've been grinding at school. So my wife wanted to take them on a little trip. So they went down to Southern California. And they're like, do you want to go? And I said, could have had the day off. I mean, obviously you took the day off on Friday. How was your wedding?
We'll talk about that off the air. It was a great time, but it was.
Did they get married?
Yes, this time they got married.
Because Cody has been to a wedding where the wedding was planned and it did not go off.
Correct, in Texas.
So they did say I do.
They did, yes.
Okay,
that happened.
Because I wouldn't invite you to my wedding because bad things happen when you go to weddings. But yeah, they're like, "Are you going to come with us?" And I was like, "No." Normally I should have, but I'm like, I've got the feeling of it's time to go. Like, I felt that over the weekend. Like, yesterday at the club was my last round of golf. I said, goodbye, everybody. I said, I'll randomly see you a couple times during the season, but I'll be back. All of our matches and our battles will start up again sometime in October. Like, it's time to go. Spring training is over as of today. Chris Carey will be on the call. He's going to say goodbye, and we leave the Valley of the Sun. Team will board a flight tonight after the game and head to Sacramento, and away we go. Thursday, we will start. You know, they're going to all move into their digs wherever they're going to live in the Sacramento area. I would assume they're all going to be pretty close to the ballpark.
Yeah, you would hope.
Whether you're in West Sacramento or just on the other side, as we're now learning a lot about the difference between Sacramento and West Sacramento. From Sacramento's own Steve Sachs, who will be on the program again today. And then the team will get on the charter and they'll go to Seattle for a 4-game set, and away we go. 4 against Seattle, and then back home, which is going to be a crazy opening day in Sacramento against the Chicago Cubs. It's going to be wild. We're about to get on a journey that is so. It's the journey of the unknown. We are starting a trip into the unknown. We can think and project and hope and pray for how we think it's going to go, but we've got no idea. It's all brand new. And I got to tell you, it's pretty damn exciting. You know, people get used to the same thing over and over again, and probably I had done the same in my career. I've been very fortunate that my entire career has been in the Bay Area. That I didn't have to leave after San Jose State and go to a smaller market. I didn't have to leave and go prove myself and come back. I've spent my entire career here. And then now, after doing this for quite a while, it's like a whole new challenge. Our boss on Thursday was down circa in Vegas. If anybody's seen the amazing pool and all the crazy televisions that they have at Circa, touring the facility, knowing what that part of our future is going to be, and knowing what we're gonna what this show's set is going to look like on opening day in Sacramento. We got a whole new set, whole new lighting. It's going to be awesome. We're about to get ready. We're hopping on board. We're getting on that cruise ship for a whole new journey in our careers. Life is changing dramatically for us. And I think I know for me, I'm not going to speak for you, but I know for me at this point in my career, it's exciting to have a dramatic change and to know what the future is. Like when we were down in Vegas and we did all those parties and we did the announcement at the Las Vegas Convention Center and we're talking to the big wigs and you're like, wow, stuff's getting, as Jim Harbaugh once said, things are getting real fast. And it happens on Thursday. Spring training is over. And that's kind of a shocker.
Seems like it went by pretty quickly, too. I mean, we've had a lot of good things to watch from spring training just from the A side of it. Got to see a lot of Nick Kurtz, a lot of the young guys. The starting pitching's been pretty decent. We've got to see Springs debut at the A's. Sevy, Luis Severino.
The new toys.
We've seen the two teams play in Japan to start the season and come back and play spring training games after, like the Cubs and the Dodgers.
Mookie Betts is weighing 120 pounds. You'll get to that. We're unveiling a new thing today. The commander came up with an idea. It is hard for everybody, as we talked about fantasy baseball, hard to keep track. By the way, first of all, we will preview the Astros today. It's the last team that we have to do for the West. Years ago, we would do every team, but we're like, does anybody really care? We're going to do just our division. So we'll end today with the Houston Astros. Matt Kawahara used to cover the A's for the Chronicle. Like another thing in the Bay Area, there was better jobs somewhere else. And Matt Kawahara left the San Francisco Chronicle to go to the Houston Chronicle because the Houston Chronicle was a better gig. The baseball department at the San Francisco Chronicle and papers in the Bay Area are a joke. John Shea, our longtime national baseball writer, is gone. He's gone to the San Francisco Standard, whatever the heck that is. That's some billionaire is floating the way it was explained to me, some billionaire is floating this business website that covers finance in San Francisco. San Francisco and finance go hand in hand. Obviously, it's a really big deal, but they want to have a sports side of it. They got 3,000, 4,000 subscribers or something like that. But John Shea was our national baseball writer in the Bay Area. He's gone. So Matt Kawahara from the Houston Chronicle here at 10:30. We will replay Max Muncy. Max Muncy, your life has officially changed. We'll play Max Muncy today at 11 o'clock, and then Steve Sachs. Big thing to get into, and I know that we're going to hit this not only on A's Cast Live on opening day, but also when we do our new NBC pregame show that will be simulcasted, of course, on our terrestrial radio and on A's Cast. So you will hear it on 650 KSTE and also KWNR, the Bull HD2 in Las Vegas. A huge change is going to be the ballpark. That is going to be a major factor in this season. We will get into that. Do we have a sounder yet for? So the new segment's going to be what are you calling it?
Well, the idea was morning news, but since we're going to be on in the afternoon, maybe we have to do the evening news.
however you want to do
Yeah.
it. But it's basically 60 seconds of an update of everything going on. Because it's, in a show like this, we're not going to run down this guy's hurt, this guy's hurt, this guy got signed. But in 60 seconds, the commander has, I'm going to put him on the clock. It's like a sprint. You got 60 seconds to tell us everything that's going on in baseball. So who is signed, who's released, like Dane Dunning. Kind of stunning that Dane Dunning was waived by the Rangers. I guess not. He'd been terrible this spring. He's 30 years old. If you're an A's fan, you've seen him pitch for the Rangers. 2 years ago, he was really good. Wasn't in their World Series year. Wasn't good last year and wasn't having a good spring. And anybody can have him. You just got to pick up his salary of $2.66 million. So things like that. Mookie Betts is still sick. Can't keep food down. They don't know what it is. Stuff like that. You're going to run it down 60 seconds every day. What do we got going in baseball? So we're covered.
There's going to be some humorous things in there too.
And I think that will really help us because it's tough to know everything that's going on with 30 teams in a sport that plays every single day.
Maybe something like A's Cast in 60 or something like that.
I like that. A's Cast Notes in 60. See, we're working on stuff. It's still spring training.
I'm going to change the name right now.
All right, so Diamond Notes is going to be something that we do every single day. We're going to do it on this show, and we're going to do it on the on television on NBC.
I did have a liner recorded from the great Ray Jensen. I haven't got a chance to do it yet.
Okay.
So I'll have it. I'll have it for opening day.
All right. Diamond Notes. Number one thing: spring training is over. That is, we are ready to rock. Right now, the A's have won 3 straight, 5 of their last 6, and they're entering the final 17, 13, and 1. Does your spring training record matter? Depends. All of spring training depends on what it means for who. Spring training matters differently for different ball clubs. If you are, just as we mentioned, the Dodgers, does their spring record matter? Absolutely not. The only thing that mattered for them was going to Tokyo and winning 2 games. That's the only thing that mattered. Staying healthy, right? Does the Yankees spring training matter? No, they're all about health. Like, you can go down the line, certain teams, like I'd say the Braves, the Phillies, their spring trainings, there's certain teams where their spring trainings to me would not matter whatsoever. I just need guys healthy. Then there's other teams where you've got a lot of questions. Like if I'm a Mariner fan, I'm trying to figure out, how am I going to score runs? What did my team do? Did my team look like they got offense in them, right? The bottom feeders, the teams are probably not going to be very good. You're wondering, hey, how do my young guys perform? They're getting an opportunity. So yes, spring training matters, and I do think spring training mattered for us because I'm not going to sit there and say for our last 64 games we were 32-32. Our last 60 what?
76.
Our last 76 games we were 39 and
37.
All right, 39 and 37. Yeah, that's good. But you know what the problem is? Before that, we stunk. We were awful. So what's real, what's not? I could sit here and totally blow smoke and say those last 76 games, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is we don't play a 76-game season. Reality is you got, let's just say, hot, and you started playing well, and you started looking like a Major League Baseball team when no pressure was involved. That's why you don't fall in love in spring training, and you don't fall in love at the end of the year. What pressure do you have when you're already 20-something games out? There's no pressure. And I know we love to build it up. Oh, look at, I can give you, where's my guy, Lawrence Butler? Lawrence Butler, his last 73 games, because you said last 76, we were 39 and 37. One of the reasons why Lawrence Butler's last 73 games hit 302, 20 bombs, 49 RBIs, a 943 OPS, 18 doubles, 2 triples, and 14 stolen bases. He was literally like one of the best guys in baseball. Well, that's great. And he got rewarded with a contract, but once again, that's when the team's already out of it. It's amazing how human beings can all of a sudden look at other sports. You can look at a guy. That guy scores 20-something points a game in basketball. Well, his team stinks. He's going out and he's a volume shooter. Doesn't matter. They're going to get rolled every night. What do you do when it matters? So I think spring training for the A's at 17, 13, and 1, they've got to prove they can, whatever the group you put on the field, they win. That this is real. Because last year, this team had bravado leaving spring training. We were there. We covered it. They were all positive. They all felt like, we're competing this year. And they went out and laid an egg, and it was a rough year. Well, the same thing is happening this year, but everybody's a year older. Everybody should be more seasoned. Even the guys who are seasoned, a Brent Rooker who has really gotten hot late. And that's good to see Rooker's getting into. I mean, Brent Rooker is one of the great examples of, you look at his age, he's kind of a veteran guy, but yet Brent Rooker still is somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of dirt underneath his spikes when you talk about being in the big leagues. He's great from a standpoint of he's been an all-star, he's been an MVP candidate, he's been released, he's been thinking about going to Japan. He's had it all happen. But now this is going to be like the third year where he really is an everyday guy. So there is the belief that another year of Blade seasoned, another year of Shea Langoliers, now Lawrence Butler, like that the team should be better. They have that confidence. So spring training did matter because they stunk it up in spring training, wouldn't have been good. So spring training did matter for the A's. So no matter what, they're going to finish over 500 and they're going to start the season feeling we were very good and competent at the end of last year, good in spring training. We're building. There's momentum. There's definitely momentum heading into this season. Once again, a journey of the unknown. Even for them, it's an unknown, right? Where do they live? It's something new. They're used to it, but it's something new. The routine that guys have. I mean, it's crazy to think, but these guys are so routine-oriented. Some guys drive to the ballpark. They drive the same way every single day. They go to the same gas station every single day. They eat at the same places. Professional athletes are very, just like normal human beings, but really professional athletes are very routine-oriented. They're going to have to develop all new routines at home. Home is going to be different. It's a completely new clubhouse. It's a completely new ballpark. It's a different city. It's all new. This journey is all new for these guys. And hard to believe Jacob Wilson, because Cody was asking me off the air. I was making a different point. I never answered. Jacob Wilson led this team in home runs. I mean, there are a lot of good signs if you just look at the stats. Once again, you're not married to these stats, but you would be worried if guys didn't hit. I'd rather be on the side of, hey, look at these guys hitting in spring. Does it mean anything? No, but I'd rather have, if we're saying it doesn't mean anything, I still rather be good than bad. I'd rather have everybody feeling good about themselves heading into the start of the season than if Jacob Wilson went out, didn't hit any home runs, and hit 214. Instead, he hit 314 or whatever it is. I'd rather, he hit 314. He had an OPS of 896.
Led the team in homers and runs batted in.
So that's,
leading the team. Sorry, one game left.
I want Jacob Wilson heading into the JJ Blade hit 333. Rooker ended up hitting, he's hitting 3 home runs lately, hitting 263. Andujar's hitting 383. No, he's hitting 320. Butler is hitting 383. Butler's red hot. I mean, this is good signs. So that's number 1 for Diamond Notes. Spring training's over. Mission accomplished. Now get on the plane. Let's get this thing going. Number 2 in Diamond Notes. Injuries happen. It's inevitable. Can't freak out. The hamate bone is something that once it was Jose Canseco in 1989 that it happened to, and people were like, what's a hamate bone? And since then, players break them all the time. What was the one thing people said when you draft a guy? you should immediately take out both of his hamate bones because you don't need them.
Oh, I've never heard that. That's interesting.
You ever heard that? Because
No.
Pablo Sandoval, remember the Giants broke both of them? Because they derail your season. So they said they should take every guy and take their hamate bones out of their hands because they're easy to break. Just take them out right away, and you don't have that problem. So it's not crushing. It's not crushing. It's just very disappointing because this was a time for Zack Gelof to turn around those 188 strikeouts last year, get back on track to the player he was when he first came up, and really start to be a force and be the guy we think he can be. And the fact that he is going to be out, however long it's going to be, I mean, it's usually not that, 4 to 6 weeks or whatever it is. But Zack Gelof starting because he was actually really starting to hit. And he's a dynamic athlete. He's a big kid playing second base, has power, can do it all. He can run, play D. We'll talk to Steve Sachs about that today, the mentality. Obviously, second base is his forte. But that is the big blow. And Otanez, too. So you got the two injuries coming out of camp. Otanez, who your flamethrower setup guy, is going to start the season with a shoulder on the IL. And now Zack Gelof with a hamate bone will start the season. I mean, that's good news, and that's why we're going to play Max Muncy today. Max Muncy will be making the opening day roster. Urias, Muncy, Schumann. However, we'll find out from Marcotte when we do the Marcotte show how exactly he plans on doing second base. But Max Muncy, a former first-round pick out of high school, will be making the opening day roster. So congratulations to him. A dream come true. We knew we'd see Max Muncy in Sacramento, not as an aviator, but as an athletic. We didn't know when, but now it's going to be on opening day. Did you find out? Was it Landon Powell? Did you find out if that was the
I looked
case?
it up. I looked it up, but I wanted to make sure my research was right. So I checked with the great David Feldman, and Feldy told me it was Landon Powell, 2009, the last A's first-round pick to make the opening day roster. That will be his major league debut, Landon Powell, 09.
What is the big thing about Landon Powell?
Caught Dallas Braden's perfect game.
Yeah.
He was at he was around. He did a Alumni Sunday. I think we saw him. That's most recent, a couple months ago. I believe he was at one of them.
He was there.
He was there for something. Yeah, I remember
he
seeing
didn't
him
do
there.
Alumni Sunday, but Landon Powell, really good guy. Well, there you go. Max Muncy going to be on the roster. Very versatile. You have a lot of versatility. You have a bunch of guys that can play short, second, third, and you can put them in the outfield. And that's the kind of versatility you're going to need early in the season. So that is something that to really look at. And, for Max Muncy, a former first-round pick who has a lot of confidence, and you'll see that in the interview, why not go out and win the job yourself right away? I know he's going to be playing sporadically, but, remember Brent Rooker was here to hit against left-handed pitching. The rest is history. It's like you seize the moment, seize the day. All of a sudden, what you had in Gelof, you have a lot in Muncy. Muncy's grown up. His frame, he's a lot bigger. He's got pop. He can run. I mean, he's somebody that, because Schumann really is a shortstop, and I think the great thing about Max Schumann is Max Schumann showed you he can play shortstop every single day. Because Jacob Wilson, let's face it, we think he's going to be great, but he's got to prove he can stay healthy for a full season. So Schumann is kind of like your insurance policy at shortstop. And then Urshela's got a hit. So Max Muncy has an opportunity. Urias, who a couple of years ago was hell on wheels. So somebody's got an opportunity to claim that second base spot for a while.
If you look at the lineup today against Davis Martin, a right-handed pitcher for the White Sox, it looks like it could be, not saying it's the opening day lineup, but you have a lot, every regular in there, and Max Muncy's batting eighth and playing second base.
Could be. Number 3 on our Diamond Notes, Jim Bowden, former GM, now rock star on SiriusXM, and of course The Athletic, came out with a ranking the lineups. He was bragging about it. They have the award-winning show on Sunday morning.
We need to count how many times he says it during the show.
It's hilarious. It's just to troll people. But he and Jim Duquette, good friend of the program, do the GM show on Sunday on Sirius XM. If you don't have Sirius XM, I wish you did. Their show is fantastic. They bring on all the front office people on Sunday mornings. And he was talking about it, ranking all of the lineups, and he ranked the Athletics lineup 20th.
Correct. And that's ahead
far different than what the last couple of years. And the reason why that's interesting is that the A's lineup kind of right now is an unknown from a standpoint of what are you going to get. The Sacramento versus Oakland variable is a major unknown. When I say we're on a journey to the unknown, this is a major unknown. Because you just look at weather. Forget ballpark. We already know the Sacramento ballpark is not as big as the Coliseum. The Sacramento ballpark doesn't have the foul territory of the Coliseum. But just look at average temperatures. In April, the average temperature in April last year in Sacramento was 74 degrees with a low of 50. The average in Oakland, 66 and 50. In May, the high in Sacramento, 82. The high in Oakland, 69. In June, the average high, 89. And the average high in Oakland, just 72. We're talking July, 95 in Sacramento, Oakland, 72. August, 93 in Sacramento, 73 in Oakland. September, 89. It's warmer. Ball's going to fly. So hard to predict. The offense the A's were better on the road last year offensively, and now you're going to have all these games. The offense could be dramatically better. Lot to get into. And covering the Astros, our old friend Matt Kawahara. What are the Astros going to look like? Is this the end? Is this the end?
I already gave you my answer the other day.
Is it the end?
No.
Okay, we'll see next right here on A's Cast Live.
Here's the pitch, and it's a hit. Folsom Lake Ford has stepped up again, winning the Triple Crown Award, Ford Motor Company's highest honor. Now 7 years in a row, Folsom Lake Ford is a top sales leader in the U.S., along with being top in customer satisfaction, in sales, service, and finance. Now that's a home run. Don't miss the huge savings on your favorite models at your truck headquarters. Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall.
A's starting pitcher Luis Severino joined Towny on A's Cast Live in Mesa and discussed his role as a veteran leader in the clubhouse.
For me, just learning from the guys that like when I was younger, Cesar Sabatia, Ivan Nova, Michael Pineda, I played with Aero. So those guys teach me how it was, how it is to be in the big leagues. So I would try to do the same thing with those guys, if they need me. My first year, I was trying to impress everybody, so right now we're just, trying to get ready for the season. So if I need to talk to those guys and let them know, you don't have to be 100% every time. You don't have to go 100% every time, When we need you to go 100% out there and pitch, that's the day you want to compete. So don't go out there and go crazy and try to get hurt and taking ground balls or trying to catch a fly ball that you don't need to. So just to, let them know what I learned while I was younger.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
A's All-Star Mason Miller joined Towny on A's Cast Live to talk about the responsibility getting the final 3 outs in a game.
It's exciting. That's the time of game. Everything that's went into it is building to that point. And usually when I'm in there, it's an opportunity for us to win.
Yeah.
So just pitching with that energy, pitching with that mentality that I just got to get 3 outs. It doesn't have to be pretty. I want it to be pretty, but it doesn't have to be. It's just like just get 3 outs, hold the lead, get the guys in the locker room and celebrate it.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
Now, something to look at. Also, when we start talking about offense is going to be different, pitching is going to be different too, right? Ask me about home runs after we have Matt. Do we have Matt?
Yeah, let me get him. And yes, we do.
Matt left us. He did a great job covering the Athletics, and then he left us for the Astros. It was a blow that it's been a while for us. It's taken a while for to us to recover from it. We miss you. How are you?
I'm sure you guys moved on real quick. I'm good. How are you? Good to hear from you guys.
Yeah. So how are things going with the Astros camp? Because the Astros, they continue to evolve.
Yeah, a lot of changes this offseason. It was a very, transformative offseason for them. Obviously, Alex Bregman gone, Kyle Tucker gone, Ryan Presley, Justin Verlander all gone. Jose Altuve's a left fielder now. Christian Walker and Isaac Paredes are at the corner infield spots. There's a lot of changes. So, yeah, they still – I think they're going into the season still with expectations very high, but it's definitely, like you said, it's an evolving team for sure.
Well, when you take people like those names you just mentioned, when you take them out, there's no question you bring new human beings in. There's a culture change inside that clubhouse. And they had this us against the world culture for so long because of the cheating scandal. They'd won a World Series after that. They had this toughness. There was something about the Astros. Is it still the same, or are you seeing a change in the culture in the clubhouse with the new people coming in?
I think Alex Bregman was a big part of at the center of the culture. He was sort of a tone setter for the clubhouse, and it's going to be interesting to see sort of who steps into that role, who fills that, because a lot of the guys that they've had around for a few years, like Altuve is not necessarily they don't have a lot of super vocal leaders. I would say in that clubhouse. Bregman wasn't necessarily a super vocal leader either, but he just kind of set the tone in there with the way that he went about day-to-day stuff. Altuve does that to an extent. Yordan Alvarez, obviously, they're more lead by example guys. And the newcomers, Christian Walker is another, had a really good reputation in Arizona for being kind of a big work ethic guy, somebody who players really gravitated toward, but he's a new face in the clubhouse. So you're kind of wondering who's going to step into the leadership role. And I think that's, still kind of a question going into the season. The fact that Altuve was willing to make this position change and sort of embrace the move to left field the way that he has, I think that has ripple effects a little bit through the clubhouse. But to your point, I would say it's just a slightly different vibe just because of how many new faces and how many faces are gone from the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see you guys when you come to town, how we got so used to what the Astros look like and seeing Altuve in left. If you had to bet this season, would you bet Altuve ends up playing more games in left field or second base?
The plan is left field right now. I
know what the plan is. What would you bet, though?
I would bet left field. I think, you guys have probably seen sort of the spring training clips of him, dropping some fly balls in left field. And obviously it hasn't been perfect, but I think there's been enough progress and he's shown the ability. He has shown the ability to move around in left field, to track down fly balls. He's made some difficult catches too. It's been the two that he dropped and that, got a lot of play online. Those were pretty routine fly balls, but I mean, the common thread there was both of them were he had a runner on third base, and he explained like he was kind of trying to load up to make the throw before he caught the ball. And it's sort of just it's been a big and very fast impacted learning curve for him, because they really only started working him out there in January, like a few weeks before they reported spring training. They had him basically take a crash course at the ballpark in Houston. And then he worked only there in spring training. He started one game at second base, but from the day-to-day practice work, team defensive drills, I don't think I saw him take ground balls at second base during any sort of structured time. It was just all left field. So they're really all in on this. He's all in on this. I think there would have to be something pretty drastic, or he would have to really struggle out there for them to reverse course at this point and say they're going to put him back in left field. And that would really alter the way that they've kind of constructed this roster too, because a lot of the decisions that they've made and that they're still making revolve around him being mostly in left field. So I think, things can always change. They've left room to pivot if needed, but I do think that he's going to play most of his games in left field.
Yordan Alvarez, want to keep him healthy. He's an absolute force in our game. Full-time DH. Is he cool with that? How does he feel about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. He's said that he'll do whatever they want. He has said in the past that he likes playing defense. So I don't know that. He's never come out and said like, I don't like this move to be primarily a DH, but that is their plan, is to give him the majority of his starts in left field, really, or at DH, really limit his time in left field. I think he started something like 50, 55, 58 games in left field, something like that last year. And they really want to cut that down to keep him healthy. And he has said that he's open to whatever. I think an argument that has come up to playing him in left field in the past was that if you look at some of his splits for a while, his his offensive numbers were a little bit better when he played left field versus when he served as a DH. But those are kind of looking at the overall sample, those are kind of skewed by, I think, one season. It might have been 22 or possibly 21. There was one season where the splits were really stark, where he had much, much better numbers as a left fielder than a DH. But other than that, they've been kind of uniform. Last season, he actually had a higher OPS as a DH than as a left fielder slightly. So I think, they're pretty adamant about the fact that they want to limit his time in left field. They'll still probably throw him out there every once in a while if they want to free up the DH spot to like give a regular a half day off, or get another left-handed hitter in there, because he is their only left-handed hitting regular. So they're going to have a very right-handed heavy lineup. So if there are days where they are going to try to squeeze another left-handed hitter in there, they might throw him out there in left field. That's when you can see Altuve maybe play second base for a game per series or per homestand. But yeah, that's the plan going in.
Yeah, that's something they're not a stranger to, because for years they didn't have a lefty in the bullpen. They're not afraid of that.
Yeah.
Right? The Astros
now they have a few.
Yeah,
they're gonna carry at least three.
Crazy. They used to have, because Presley had such a good changeup against left-handers, like they felt they could get away with that. When I think about the Astros and I think about the Athletics and I think about Bregman, if I'm pretty sure on this, but for Bregman's career, he's hit more home runs against the A's than any other team. Kyle Tucker just beat the what out of the A's pitching staff. From the A's perspective, and us really well, how do you think, you're getting rid of two A's killers?
Yeah, well, those guys were, they have pretty good success against a lot of teams.
Yeah.
But you've looked at the last couple of years, the A's have played these guys pretty tough. There have been some series where the A's have come into Houston and pitched really well. JP Sears has had some good outings against them. I remember, I know he's hurt now, but I think it was 2 years ago when Ken Waldichuk came in and had like a 5 1/3 or 5 2/3 shutout in innings. They've pitched this lineup tough. And that's, just following from afar, there's kind of there's a good amount of optimism or excitement about that team and some of the young guys that they have over there. So, you look at the division sort of overall, I don't know that there's necessarily like one standout team in the division. It's kind of, you look at the projections, the win projections, it's all sort of muddled at the top. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be competitive. I don't think you can look at I don't think you look at the Astros team, the Astros roster now, like you did 5 years ago and say, this is the team that should clearly win this division. Even though they've won it like 7 out of the last 8 years or something like that, or the last 7 full seasons. But I don't think that's really clearly the case anymore. It's a very, there's a lot of parity in the division. It should be very competitive.
So 88 wins last year. Tell me why or why not they do the same win total.
Well, they had a terrible start last year. So they started 7-20. I forget what the exact number was, but if they can avoid that sort of terrible start again, which was like the second worst start in franchise history, they can at least position themselves better to going into the season, because they dug themselves such a big hole last year that they spent a lot of the first half just trying to play catch up, and that sort of had ripple effects through. I mean, the way that they use their bullpen, they leaned really heavily on their back end guys really early in the season, where they might not have, because they were just chasing wins by like May. So they weren't able to sort of mitigate the workload on those guys like they would have liked to, which is going to be even more of a probably an emphasis or an impetus going into this season. Now the press is gone and they have really just the 2 back end guys. I mean, you look, the rotation is, the first 2 guys are real good, and then after that, I think there are some question marks at least. The bullpen, the top 2 guys are real good, and then I think after that there are some question marks there. One interesting thing that Dana Brown, the general manager, said during spring training was that this team is constructed as an offense first team, which I think is kind of a diversion from past. I mean, you've looked at the Astros through this sort of run of success that they've had, and it's been pitching that's really been the backbone for them. Like, the rotation has always been excellent. In 22, the bullpen was like one of the best bullpens ever. But he came out and said, like, the way that they constructed this roster is it's going to lean on offense. So, but again, you look at the lineup, the projected lineup, the top half should be good as long as everybody stays healthy, and then after that, there are questions. So I think, again, it's not maybe the strongest Astros team going into the season that you've seen in the past, but they do still have stars. If they get repeated seasons out of like a Ronel Blanco, if Spencer Arrighetti takes a step for them in the rotation, then they could definitely at least compete for the division again, if not win it.
Let's end on this. You've now covered Grapefruit and Cactus League.
Yeah.
Which one do you like better?
Well, Cactus League, everything is pretty close. So that was the biggest difference with coming to Grapefruit League. Is like they're like little pods now. So the Astros play a lot of their games against like the same 4 teams. So you see like the same team over and over because everything else is so spread out. I think this spring they took like 2 long trips. There was one trip to Tampa for the Yankees and one to Dunedin for the Blue Jays. But other than that, they stay in like a real small area. So you just kind of see the same teams in the same ballparks over and over.
Arizona's way better.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot more variety out there, I would say.
Hey, be well this season. Good luck. We're starting this journey on Thursday, and of course, we'll be calling you when we're teeing it up against the Astros. You be well, my friend.
Yeah, you too. Can't wait.
Matt Kawahara of the Houston Chronicle, great guy. Been having him on for years. Used to cover the A's for the San Francisco Chronicle, now with the Houston Chronicle. And, Dana Brown, who was on the front office show on Sirius XM this past Sunday.
Award-winning.
Dana, I don't know. Joe Espada, their manager, I don't know. How can you say you've now lost Carlos Correa? You've now lost Bregman. You've now lost Tucker. Like, how do you in the end, you're going to be more offensive? How would you make the case that from your World Series team that you'd be the more offensive? How would you make that? I mean, I'm just looking at the roster. How do you make a case that you're going to be more offensive? And throwing Altuve out in left field, if things start going awry, and let's just say it's not going good, that affects his offense. I mean, how are you going to be more offensive?
Now, if you look at the top half of their lineup, obviously Altuve can hit. Isaac Paredes, they're hoping he can provide some power in the trade, that they got in the deal for Tucker.
He hit 233.
He has power. They don't
He
have
hit 233.
I think they're banking on the power. Yordan Alvarez, you know what you're going to get from him. Christian Walker.
One.
Christian Walker.
Okay. So you give me two guys.
Yander Diaz had a good year as a catcher last year. He can hit.
Okay, three guys.
Pena had a good year.
You think that's more offensive?
Well, I think they're putting a lot of pressure on Cam Smith, the first-round pick from last year from the Cubs who came over in the deal.
So
starting on the roster,
I don't know
right
what their
field.
numbers are. I don't know what their numbers are. But if I took the 2 years they won the World Series and I took their totals offensively, you think they're going to match that this year?
Oh, no. I'm just giving you guys
Well, that's why I'm saying. How can you say they're more offensive?
And then the bottom half of their order, Mauricio Dubon and Jake Myers.
No.
Yeah, those are
you get the
defense,
Chaz McCormick in there.
Those are defense first guys.
I mean, I just don't see it. How you're going to say but you know what? That's fine. Who cares? I want them to lose as many games as possible because I still can't stand them.
And like Luis Garcia, who's supposed to be coming back from Tommy John, he just had an injury or setback, so he's not starting. And then
he's not throwing.
Where's Lance McCullers Jr. at? I mean, remember when he was supposed to be a big deal?
Their pitching's not going to be as good. I don't get it. But you know what? Good. This division is open. It is wide open. There are question marks, and our good friend Anthony Castrovents, longtime contributor here, MLB.com to A's Cast Live, came up with his 9 bold predictions. And oh, by the way, how would this be for baseball? Number 2, you can see it on MLB.com right now. You want to get excited as an A's fan? And Castrovents, where's my book? You remember he wrote the book. We always bring it up. It's great if you're not big into analytics, but you want to know. He did the book, A Fan's Guide to Baseball Analytics. It's actually a really good read for people to kind of give you an idea about analytics. I'm holding it up. If you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter, X, for our fans listening, it's Anthony Castrovents, A Fan's Guide to Baseball Analytics, Why WAR, WHIP, WOBA, and other advanced sabermetrics are essential to understanding modern baseball. Great read. Number 2 bold prediction. Well, I'll give you number 1. What was that? The entire American League playoff field will be different from last year. So that's Yankees, Cleveland,
Detroit.
That way, listen, you're skipping to wild cards. Okay. Slow down, slugger. So you're going Yankees, you're going Cleveland, Houston. We got Detroit,
Kansas
City,
and there was the who was the other wild card in the American League?
Who was in the
Orioles.
So those 6 teams won't be in the playoffs?
Wow, it's bold. I mean, bold.
I mean, I guess you're buying it. Well, the reason why I can go to the next one for it is he's got the Rays, and the A's making it. Bold prediction. How about that? How you want to talk about shaking things up and rolling the dice? How about Tampa making the playoffs in the spring training / A-ball home of the New York Yankees? For an A-ball team, it's an incredible stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, the Yankees facility in Tampa is top notch. So the Rays, that here's what people don't want. Here's what the national people don't want to tell you, that Sutter Health Park. Are we calling it Sutter Health Park too?
Yeah.
During our games?
I mean, that's what the ballpark's called.
I know, but are we going to call it that?
That's
because of sponsorship things. I'm not sure. It's a new journey. I'm not sure. Sutter Health Park in Sacramento, especially with all the changes, is a far better ballpark than the Coliseum. The Coliseum is absolutely run down. Loved it. Spent No one did more pre- and post-game shows, if you count A's and Raiders, than I did at that stadium in its history. Nobody. I did more broadcasts from that stadium. Meant a lot to me and my life, but it's had its time. This is going to be better. And then the Trop is a dump, and it's awful. Outside, that Yankee facility is incredible. How are people going to feel if that happens? Where all of a sudden you have better environments, teams are winning. You know, that's the thing. It's like when the Chargers played at the soccer stadium in Carson, you were having to fit an NFL team into a soccer stadium. These AAA stadiums, people act like it's a AAA. It's still a baseball stadium. It is a baseball stadium. And how many times, like when Cleveland didn't sell out this year against the Yankees in the postseason, how many times has everybody said, you know what, maybe these stadiums should be a little more intimate? Isn't that what's always been great about Fenway Park? Now, they've tried to add seats over the years, but what was great about Fenway Park was it was intimate, it was small, and it was intimate. If teams are winning and it's intimate, and we already know the Yankee facility is top-notch, we're going to get up there to Sacramento, and we know all the improvements. It's going to be fantastic. What's baseball going to say if these two teams make the playoffs and the environment is awesome? Now, where they play long-term playoffs, I don't know, because you've got to have all the stuff for media and all this other kind of stuff. But just for the season, what will the narrative be when you're like, man, it's sold out, Sacramento's rocking, it's warm, it's baseball, it feels like it's supposed to feel. What's it going to be like? And then in Tampa, getting out of the Trop's, nobody likes the Trop. Nobody. It's awful. It is awful. And they may have some rain delays, but that's, they dealt with that at Joe Robbie. You now call it Hard Rock in South Florida, where the Florida Marlins played for all those years and won 2 World Series. I mean, everybody would tell you every day, like 5 o'clock, it would rain every day at 5 o'clock. So during BP, you knew every day at 5 o'clock, it's going to rain, and then the humidity drops. But what will the narrative be if the Rays are winning and the A's are winning in these two AAA parks, and it's intimate and people are having a great time? Boy, plus, that will change things.
Plus, I think in Cash Wentz's article, he talks about at the very end about having playoffs in the ballparks, which
at least like the first round.
Yeah, which would be, it would be interesting to see. But yeah, it ties back to the whole intimate ballpark. That's why a lot of these ballparks you're seeing being built or talked about being built are smaller size.
Yeah.
Like the Vegas Stadium, I think.
Raise the price on tickets and have less seats, more demand. We know. And this came out years ago. My old partner did a interview with Silver, who is the commissioner of the NBA.
Adam Silver.
And he was the deputy commissioner at the time for David Stern. And he basically let the cat out of the bag. That attendance is the icing on the cake. That leagues now make so much money on all the different things. They make money worldwide now, right? You've got your local TV, you got your national TV, you got the merch, you got all this stuff that these leagues are making money. And that's why we say every year that the league's a $11 billion industry. Like the industries just get bigger, right? And that the stuff that you're producing at home, your suites, your TV, and now attendance is a great. So like we're going to have the most expensive median ticket. The average ticket price in Sacramento will be number 1 out of the 30 teams in baseball. It's another thing that you're proving why we're not going to have a huge venue and everybody's freaking out about that in Vegas. It's like, no, you don't want a ton of seats. Because what ends up happening is you have teams lying about sellouts, lying about attendance, our friends across the bay, and then all of a sudden you start looking up and you're like, wow, there's 12,000, 13,000. You want less seats, more demand, raise the prices, versus 40,000 is just for 81 home games and you're not good. It's just, put it this way. You grew up in Pittsburgh. PNC Park is a great ballpark. Every single night you're looking at the highlights. It's empty seats galore.
Fact.
Empty seats galore, and it's an awful look.
And it's not even that it doesn't even seat that many people. It's like around like high 30s, maybe low 40s for attendance. And they never get anywhere near that for games.
Never. And it looks awful.
They can't even, like, there was the big thing now is I saw people complaining is they can't even sell games where Paul Skeens is starting in.
No. These ballparks should be 30,000 or less. Works for the NBA. Look at the NBA. Is there even how many arenas are over 20K? Staples? How many are really over 20K? They're most around between 17 and 19,000, right?
Yeah, like I've even like Golden One and Chase. I've been to both of them. I think they're both under 20,000.
Why would you want over 20? Like, you want this thing packed every night. You want the demand. Let's pause for station identification right here on A's Cast.
This is Lawrence Butler. You're listening to A's Cast in Sacramento's new home for athletics baseball. Talk 650 KSTE.
On our end, you heard Lawrence Butler there. That sounded great.
Yeah, they had him record that whenever the team was up there in Sacramento for the event at the Kings game. So we had Law and Rooker and Blade, and then obviously we had all the guys attempt to do one take in spring training.
When the A's went to the Kings game, did the Kings win that night?
I believe they did. Yeah, it was an overtime
1-0. 1-0 when the A's show up. Have you figured out how I'm going to light the beam in Sacramento?
I have not. But I'm going to West Sacramento tomorrow. Maybe I can find some people and ask them tomorrow.
How do we light the beam? You can light the beam with me. How do we make that happen?
We'd have to
somebody in Sacramento figure that out.
We have to persuade some high level people about it. Real quick, you mentioned the Giants.
Hey, I've had Vivek. He doesn't know it. I've had Vivek Ranadive on my old talk show back in the day. On the way to a Warrior game, he was still one of the minority owners for the Warriors. He and Roger Craig are buddies. I had Roger Craig on my show. He handed the phone to Vivek as he was driving, and that was my first time I'd ever talked to Vivek Ranadive. So I've had Vivek Ranadive on my talk show before.
Real quick, one thing, we can't say our friends across the bay anymore with the Giants. We have to say, our Northern California cohorts?
I've never thought about that. But more importantly, a kid will be making his debut. Your dreams are coming true, and that's what makes our game special. Next, right here on A's Cast Live.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Lawrence Butler joined Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live to express his gratitude to the A's after securing his 7-year contract extension.
I mean, it's a surreal feeling. I mean, like you said, I love this organization. You know, they were the only organization that took a chance on me out of high school, you know, in the draft. And, you know, I thank them solely for that. And, you know, I'm just thankful and I'm just grateful, you know, humble to be, you know, chosen to, you know, be able to have this opportunity. And, you know, I wouldn't want it with any other organization than the A's because, you know, they've showed me love since day one. And, you know, I've loved them, you know, 100% back. And, you know, it's just been a mutual thing that, you know, me and the A's have, you know, grown to become, you know, a great relationship with everybody in the organization from top to bottom.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
Become an A's insider today. Visit athletics.com/newsletter and sign up to receive the latest team highlights, up-to-date news, features, and more, all delivered free to your inbox. That's athletics.com/newsletter.
A's outfielder Brent Rooker joined Chris Townsend during spring training to discuss the confidence inside the A's clubhouse.
It's a very real confidence. It's a very real optimism. It's unique in that it's a confidence that also comes with the knowledge that we haven't proven anything yet, and we know that people on the outside still don't believe in us, but we believe in ourselves and we believe in each other, and we are at a very cool crossroads of being hungry to compete, wanting to compete, and knowing that we can compete while also being confident what the future looks like. So it's a cool feeling inside the clubhouse right now. Guys are working really hard. Guys are communicating well. We're talking. We're trying to help each other get better, and that's a cool place to be.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
All right, some of these bold predictions for the season. I'm just getting excited. Like, I got that feeling. The offseason was great. You know, the past couple of years, I've actually had a real offseason compared to I used to be doing A's, and then Raiders would start, and then Raiders would go till wouldn't go to the playoffs. But, there's 1 year.
I would say there's the 1 year.
Jack Del Rio and played with the Texans. But, it'd go till after New Year's, and then, talk show mode and be doing the talk show. And then all of a sudden when I left that and just doing this, having real off seasons, right? You have an off season where we do some shows and we go to winter meetings, and normally we go to fantasy camp and we do that. But then all of a sudden you start getting that feeling like, here we go. I've been feeling that. This weekend really made me feel like it's here, man. It's time to go. Like, I'm fired up. And you heard Brent Rooker there as we played that, a little promo. If you're an A's player, you've got to be like, let's go. It's your time. It's time for you to really establish yourselves. It's not only for this team, for these individuals. This is, these careers are precious. They're not very long. And when you're young and in the moment, you don't think about that. I mean, if you live a nice, full, long life, 6 years is not a long time of your life. 8 years. Most players will never see the 10-year mark. And that's a big deal in baseball because that's the golden sombrero retirement right there. Most players don't see that. So you know what? Everybody on this roster, everybody getting on that plane, the 26, this is a seize the moment opportunity for you. And for a lot of these guys, you can go around the lineup. Andujar, can you prove you can stay healthy at your age? Urshela, can you prove that you're worthy of still playing third base every single day? What do you got? All right, JJ Bleday, can you be a star player that everybody thought you could be? Lawrence Butler, you just signed that contract. Well, it's time to, talk the talk, walk the walk. Tyler Soderstrom, to me, I will save this, but Tyler Soderstrom is, to me, kind of a big key here, right? And I'm going to save this for our opening day shows, but just remind me to highlight, put a big asterisk right there, Tyler Soderstrom, because his ability to go out and become something special and that of a force in the lineup is super interesting to me. Right? Shea Langoliers. Shea Langoliers could be going back to Atlanta. Remember, he was in the Braves system. Shea Langoliers could be going back to Atlanta as an all-star this year. Shea Langoliers, with that pop, a little more consistency, making contact, unbelievable throwing the baseball, but that power, Shea Langoliers could be the American League catcher or one of them in the all-star game this year. Brent Rooker. Brent Rooker, you have a year similar. You'll get a lot more MVP votes because this team will be better. It was tough for him to get votes because the team was so bad, right? But Brent Rooker had an MVP-like year last year. The numbers bear out. There was this one stat about Brent Rooker's year that really, okay, here you go. The only hitters qualified for the batting title with a higher weighted runs created plus. So basically runs created is a analytic that tells you the value that you are for creating runs, right? I mean, do we still want to score runs?
Yes.
Is that a data point that's important to score runs? So weighted runs created plus takes your environment, takes your league, takes your era, takes all that kind of stuff. I mean, I could actually – that's why it's great to have the Anthony Castrovents book. I can tell you exactly how it's – that's one of the things that your weighted runs created plus, what do you think the high an excellent rating is?
Well, isn't 100 league average?
100's league average.
So I'd say like 130, 140.
No. Greatness?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Oh, if you're going higher, probably 180, 190.
160 and above. Great is 140. Above average is 115. So our guy was 164 yet last year, Brent Rooker. So in the grading system of how you look at these percentages, he was excellent last year, Brent Rooker. Page 71, just to give you the actual definition. A version of on-base percentage that accounts for not just whether a player reaches base, but how he reaches base. Weighted, that's WOBA. Wait a minute. I know this is fabulous radio.
How many guys were ahead of him though? And then we can go back to that. While you look at it.
No, it's 70. I'm just on the wrong page. Hold on. We all got time. All right. Version of runs created and on base and OPS that normalizes the stats by accounting for important internal factors like ballpark and era, which I said. Weighted run created plus, how you calculate it, you guys can't see it, but it's this whole metric right there. If you can see where my finger is. Can people see that?
I mean, I can zoom in probably.
That's how long it takes to. I mean, you're factoring in.
Here, bring it up again. I can.
So where my finger is the whole right here. Can you get that in there? It's that whole paragraph of numbers. That. So it's WOBA, league WOBA, WOBA scale, plate plus times plate appearances plus league runs. Divided by plate appearances plus league runs per plate. I mean, that's why no one cares about analytics. We rather just have the numbers and tell me what's good. Don't tell me how you made the baby. Just show me the baby.
Or what's the one? Don't show me how the sausage is made.
Just put it in the smoker and tell me it's good. So they tell us this is how you do it. So weighted runs created plus is basically it's runs created, which these are good analytics. It tells you how good you are.
Yeah, Eno Saris, our friend from The Athletic, always says that's his favorite stat when he looks at hitters.
Yeah, a version of runs created in OPS that normalizes the stats by accounting for important internal factors like ballpark and era. So it takes everything, right? Well, why is that important? Why did I want to tell you that? Brent Rooker, the only hitters qualified for the batting title with a higher weighted runs created plus. These are the only guys who are better than Brent Rooker last year. Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, Yordan Alvarez, Bobby Witt Jr., and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That's it. And then Brent Rooker. That's the class he was in last year. That's how good Brent Rooker is. You were looking at Ohtani, Judge, Soto, Witt Jr. That's the kind of class. I mean, that's how his batting average balls put in play. And I know people say that's lucky. That's when you put the ball in play. What is the average, right?
Jesus, take the wheel.
You hit it and you're lucky. His BABIP last year was 362. So Brent Rooker was really good last year.
Remember, he had like what was it, 12 or 13 infield hits that he didn't have before. So he like doubled that.
Yeah,
he just had
hit the ball to right field. He hits them into right. You start getting more hits. All the numbers go up. And we're not going to hammer you. We're going to start giving you more gambling, and we're not going to do the analytics, because to me the analytics are not something that really turn people. Math doesn't really turn people on.
I think people have moved past that. As much as we love BK and MLB Now, I think people are past the the advanced numbers. Like I'll still look at them, and it's nice to evaluate what an OPS plus and stuff is. But I think people look at it more of they're going back to traditional stuff when it comes to like gambling, looking batting average, home runs, and OPS, not the plus and the advanced numbers.
By the way, the big bold opinions, and we're going to get to Max Muncy in a moment here. Both New York teams, Anthony Castrovents, we're reading out of his book, and follow the article. We got to have him on soon, but follow his article, MLB.com. He always does the big bold predictions. Both New York teams don't make the playoffs.
Panic.
So Juan Soto leaves the Yankees. Garrett Cole's out. Luis Gil is out. We don't know when he's got. Like all of a sudden, Yankees don't make the playoffs. Baseball doesn't like that. And then Juan Soto and his 765 or whatever the hell it is.
65, yeah.
All the money they spent on Juan Soto and Uncle Steve Cohen, who's worth like $18 billion, hedge fund guy. And it's as much as we or people like the Dodgers take all the oxygen in baseball and everybody thinks the Dodgers are spending the most money. Still the highest payroll is the Mets. The Mets, again, with the highest payroll, don't do anything. How about if both New York teams do not make the playoffs? And the A's and the Rays do. Oh, that will be delicious. That'll be so delicious.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who's a team in the NL that replaces them that replaces the Mets. That's like saying that, like putting the Nats in.
Easy. I mean, the Braves could easily win that division or be a wild card team. The Phillies could easily win that division or be a wild card team. I mean, you can make. There's a lot of teams you could say.
Yeah, there's some people think the Brewers are going to break out this year.
And win it again.
It's just unbelievable.
And they're going to tell me about the Pirates and the Reds. Here they come, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'll throw it, right out of the gate, Dodgers, D-backs, Padres. And if you want to play to our friends with the Giants, okay. You got 4 teams in the National League West, right? People think the Braves are going to be very good. They're going to be back this year. Phillies are loaded once again. I mean, you can make a case of how easily the Mets do not make the playoffs.
Central, you got the Brewers and maybe the Cubs and
maybe.
I'll believe what I see with the Pirates and the Reds.
I'm not buying that. So that's actually a really good one. This one I do not like. This one I'm very not favorable. Luis Arraez not winning the NL batting title. How dare you?
He's only won it 3 years in a row.
How dare you? As now he is my first baseman on our fantasy team. Yes, folks, I'm going against all these dorks like Cody, and I'm going, give me batting average guys. Problem is all the batting average guys are the power guys now, too. If you look at last year's standings, the one guy who didn't hit for power, did I get him? Did I get Jacob Wilson? I haven't even looked at my team. Did I get Jacob Wilson, too?
I don't. You have like the entire A starting.
Oh, yeah, I got all the A's and Luis Arraez. Let's go get them, boys. I'm a huge slowest bat speed in baseball. I'll take him every day of the week. He's got Ellie De La Cruz getting over 80 stolen bases. You know, the one that I think is one of the most tired arguments is Garrett Crochet striking out 40% of the batters he faces. Who cares?
I think Hembo threw that stat out on Buster's podcast a couple of weeks ago that he thinks he can do it.
Who cares? So great. Strike out a bunch of people. Your pitch count's up. You're out there in the 5th inning because you've never proven you can go long.
5. He's like, if he goes 4.
I mean, does that really fire people up anymore? Yeah, give me that starter who comes out and strikes everybody out and we're taking them out after 4 2/3. Does that fire you up?
Not anymore.
Is that really is that cool? Does people really want to see that? I want to see a guy strike people out for 4 innings. Does that entertain you?
It would have been cool if he, it would have been cool if he was one of the only guys in baseball that threw 100 miles an hour, but everyone throws 100 miles an hour now.
Like, what is cool about striking everybody out and you can't go deep into games?
The most deepest he went in a game last year, 3 different times he went 7 innings.
Ooh. How many?
Remember they had him on the innings limit.
What was his innings last year with the White Sox?
He ended up having last year with the White Sox. Sorry, I did splits. So last year 146.
How valuable are you for 100 and basically 40 innings?
32 starts, 146 starts. 146 innings.
How valuable are you?
And apparently they're far.
I mean, there's some value. There's no question, but 140? And you're the main dude? By the way, the splits that are going to be interesting, and I kind of want to save this, but just kind of give you kind of a heads up. If you look at the River Cats last year let's look at the River Cats. Kind of give you an idea about Sacramento. River Cats weren't very good last year. So it's really hard in a environment in a league where there's tons of runs being scored, that the River Cats were at the bottom of the league in runs scored at home. So I don't know. I'm not grinding Zack Bayruti and the River Cats and AAA Giants. Zack Bayruti, God, I thought about having him on today, and I forgot to tell you, watching so much March Madness. But, we need to kind of, look at, maybe maybe Friday, have Bayruti on to talk about, how's this part play? How does it really, as someone who watches games every single day there, how's it going to play? Because the Giants AAA teams, guys are up and down, and I mean, it's tough to know. The thing that we do know, that there's one thing that the A's did. Their splits, home and road, weren't crazy. There was one thing, there's a dramatic difference in the A's 2024 from home and road. What is that?
Home runs?
Don't overthink it. Home runs. They still struck out a lot, and they didn't hit for a high average. But they hit way more home runs on the road than they did at home. Once again, weather, way warmer. Ballpark, I believe overall is smaller, right? Dimensions.
Yeah, I had the dimensions on the playbook, and I got rid of them. I should have kept them on there.
And then no foul territory, so more offensive. And we already know the A's hit more home runs, a lot more, on the road than at home. So that can just lead to A's players are growing up going to be better. They're going to hit more home runs. Total, they're one of the better home run hitting teams last year. The A's will be a even better home run, in theory, a better home run team because they're going to more of an offensive environment. Tough to look at pitching because the pitching's different, right? Severino, Springs, like the one guy you can look at is Sears. Will Sears be dramatically affected? Joey Estes, more of a fly ball pitcher. Will he be more affected? I don't know. But I know this. The A's hit more home runs last year on the road than they did at home. Now you're going to play not 81 games in a better hitting environment. You're going to play 162 games in a better hitting environment, other than when you go to San Francisco's not a great hitting environment. Padres come here, so we won't go there because Petco Park is not a good hitting environment. Pretty much other than that, everywhere else is a good hitting environment. Trying to think, where else would not be a good hitting environment in baseball other than the West Coast teams on the Pacific Ocean? Anaheim's good.
Yeah.
Dodger Stadium's good. Dodger Stadium used to be a pitcher's ballpark, but Dodger Stadium now just had a guy go 50-50.
I think the only one on the West Coast that isn't is Seattle.
But that's indoors.
Yeah. The other one, if you're looking at
Seattle's a pitching. You know what? I'll
Yes.
give you that one. Seattle. So Seattle, San Francisco, and San Diego, not great hitting environments. And Oakland was too, but take that out. Sacramento will be. So majority of your games are going to be more conducive to offense on where you play. So that could be the big difference between the A's from year to year. Now I'm hoping Jacob Wilson for a full year. Soderstrom gets better. Rooker has similar year. I mean, if he has a better year, my God. Like,
he hit 39 home runs, so we can maybe see more.
So you're talking, he had 164 weighted runs created plus. That was incredible. Blade, Andujar stays healthy, blah, 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 blah. They just get better offensively. But I think for one thing, the fact that we can look at is the A's are going to hit a lot more home runs this year than they did last year. And our GM famously said on this program, ball goes far, team goes far.
In fact, he did say that.
So he did say that. Max Muncy, happy for him. It's interesting when you draft a kid out of high school versus a kid out of college. You draft a kid out of college, there is a body of work you can say, and just guys that we've seen recently. You can say, oh, look at what Jacob Wilson did at Grand Canyon. Look at what Nick Kurtz did at Wake Forest. You know, you can say they played in a good league. They did this. There's a body of work there. You can't say that with a high school kid, because a high school kid is, you know, he's playing against a bunch of, I was just at a high school baseball game last week. You're playing against a bunch of kids who are not going to go on and play after this season. Most high school kids, this is it. You play high school, you got your buddies, you play, and you say, thanks for the memories, and we all go on in life. And whether you go to college, you go get a job, and that's your athletic career. Some, very few, will try and keep it going, and will try the junior college or community college route. And then there's the very, very few that actually will go play Division I baseball. And there's the real very few that get drafted. So your competition stinks, because the majority of the guys you're playing against will never play baseball again in their life and in an organized form. So we don't know when you draft these kids out of high school, whether it's a Henry Bolte or it's a, how good are these guys? Well, Max Muncy's grown up. And I remember when we drafted him number 1 out of high school in the first round, he was a little kid. He's a grown man now. And now he'll be making his debut for the Athletics this year in Seattle. Pretty cool. But we caught up with Max Muncy to talk to him in spring training. Here was our interview. Big year for our next guest, Max Muncy. How are you? It has been a while.
I know. It's great to see you again. I've been good.
So we've been following you, obviously, down in the minor leagues. I know last year you're plagued by injuries, but when you played well, and you're really knocking on the door. You got to be really excited right now.
I'm excited. We got a good group here, and I'm excited to try to be a part of it as soon as I can.
So when you come into camp like this, what have they told you? What are like the goals that they've set for you and you've set for yourself?
I mean, I've only been here a couple of days, so we haven't had those in-depth conversations. Okay. The vibe I'm kind of getting is just kind of be ready to go anywhere, all around the infield, and just make sure you're ready.
And over time, we've seen you since the day you got drafted, right? You show up to Oakland, you take your first batting practice, so we followed your journey as a shortstop, but now you've been able to play all around the diamond. Talk about your journey defensively, because you know the more versatile you are, the quicker you can get here.
For sure. Yeah, I think at first it was really about development for me. Make sure I'm ready to go short, make sure I learn the position. And then, you know, as you get closer to AAA, and right now it's where do they need you? You know, obviously we got a great shortstop, and we got Gelof at second, and we got some good guys at third, but that's why they're kind of, you know, if a spot opens up, they need me to be ready to go at any of them.
And that's always so interesting when you're a top prospect and when you start thinking about what's above you. Do you think about that when you go, well, Jacob Wilson's at short, as you just mentioned, Gelof, and now Urshela's at third base. Do you think about that and where you want to start taking ground balls and working on stuff, where you could fit in?
I mean, not too much, because you know anything could happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They could get an offer for somebody they couldn't resist, or, you know, I got to be at second, I got to be at third. Who knows? Maybe play first. Who knows? But yeah, I don't think about it too much. I just kind of have decided that I'm just going to be ready, and wherever they tell me to go, hopefully I've had enough reps over there where I'm comfortable.
What was the big thing you worked on this offseason offensively?
Offensively?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of been the same trend every year with just consistency, and everything about my game is probably getting shorter. Obviously, I was a high strikeout guy early in my career, just kind of a free swinger.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep that power, but also keep a little more consistency and cutting down some of my moves, you know, not moving as much in the box.
Well, you start to realize as you go on, when you start slumping, you need to get some of the, you got to start not worrying so much about power and get some hits to get you out of that, and that's just something you got to learn.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some coaches that have helped with mindset on the way up. Bobby Crosby and Ed Sprague and some of those guys have played a big role in helping me understand how to, you know, not sell out for a home run every time, and, you know, get my hits and accidentally hit home runs and not focus too much on the power numbers.
But I always understand that's really tough for you guys, because you know how you're going to get promoted, right? We know how when they're going to say, how is Max Muncy getting to the big leagues, is they want to see the power numbers. So it's hard not to get seduced by that.
It is, yeah, but I know also getting up's a good mix of, hitting for average and hitting from power. If I hit 20 in Vegas but hit 200, my chances of going up are probably slim, especially because they know how it translates. I think that's the big thing that they see from me on the minor league level, is they're looking for how it translates,
Yeah.
If you're a 30% strikeout guy, you go to the big leagues, you're facing better stuff, it's only going to go up. So that's kind of my goal, is to have both. Hit for a little power, hit for average, cut the strikeouts down, so they know, when they bring me up, at some point I'll be able to survive and I won't be a, 35, 40% strikeout guy.
Yeah. No,
it's great. Selling out.
It's a great way to look at it. It's just the evolution as a hitter, and it really is a player. I mean, you just think of where you started as a kid coming out of high school to where you are now. I mean, just talk about how dramatically different that is. It's just the comfort of being in the clubhouse is completely different.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It's definitely different being in there. It's just like anything. Once you've been around it long enough, you kind of get used to it. I'm sure a lot of kids can relate. The first time you see 90 is like the craziest thing ever, and then you see it 10 times, and you're like, all right, I could hit that. So that's kind of what it's been like in here. I remember my first year, I was really nervous to be in here. I didn't want to say anything wrong. I didn't want to go anywhere I shouldn't go. And obviously we're lucky enough to have great guys that are very accepting, in there. So that's been great. But I do feel a little more comfortable just around. I kind of know where I should be, what I should be doing, what I shouldn't say. Me and my dad talked about more of the performance side and not as much as the locker room side this off season. And sometimes you just get caught up in the journey and you need to get better, you need to get better. And we talked about, he's like, man, remember, if you went to Stockton this year, how much better would you play? Look how much better you've gotten since.
How much weight you put on since
true,
then, right?
I've definitely gotten bigger, but it is good for you to look back and be like, wow, look at that was only 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and look where I'm at now.
Well, you are knocking on the door. I expect to see you in Sacramento this year in the big leagues. It's going to be great. It's always good to catch up with you. Yep. Stay healthy, and we'll see you in the big leagues later this year.
See you guys there.
Well, scratch that. You're going to be in the big leagues day one. And time for you to live out your dream. And his dream to be an everyday player in Major League Baseball. When you're a first-round pick, I mean, that's the belief, right? That's your goal. Seize the moment. Coming up next, a guy, when he had a chance to seize the moment, he did. Led to 2 World Series rings and 5 All-Star appearances. The great Steve Sack's next, right here on A's Cast Live.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall. FolsomLakeFord.com.
That ball is out of here.
Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2025 season. Secure your seats today for opening week against the Chicago Cubs and lots of exciting giveaways, including an A's basketball jersey, a straw hat, and 3 bobbleheads. You'll be nodding yes to our Brent Rooker, Mason Miller, and Lawrence Butler bobbleheads in June and July. More hot ticket homestands as your green and gold take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, and Mets. Get your tickets at athletics.com/tickets. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game time, schedules, and more.
New A's starting pitcher Jeffrey Springs outlines the similarities between the young A's to his old team in Tampa Bay.
A lot of similarities in a lot of the ways, in the sense of young guys, a lot of talented, young players that are establishing themselves or have, established themselves in the last year or two, and really finding, their way, their path, and kind of, making the adjustments. So it's exciting, watching, the guys throw, the guys hit, and then, like you said, competing against them the last couple of years. The talent, it's exciting, when you kind of have younger guys that are hungry and eager to play. Those can be dangerous teams. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Athletics DH Brent Rooker joined Towny on A's Cast Live during his extension press conference to discuss becoming the face of the franchise.
It's been a wild ride. It's
crazy.
Yeah, it's happened quick. In a sense, and it feels like for me, in a sense, it's kind of taken a long time, obviously, because it took a little bit later into my career for things like this to start to develop. But it's been crazy. It's been fun. I owe a ton to this organization, the people in it, for giving me the opportunity that I was looking for a while, and I'm grateful I was able to take advantage of it and get to this point.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
A's Cast Live continues from the studio. Here's Chris Townsend.
Well, it all starts on Thursday. The calm before the storm, our final spring training game, Cactus League action, is today against the White Sox. It's an early game, by the way. These games have been at 1 o'clock. It's been moved up noon. Congratulations to Joe Pun and everybody down in Arizona for another great spring training. I'm wearing last time I'll bust out one of my spring training shirts. Every year I get the spring training shirts. This is it.
It is. It's crazy it went by so fast. It feels like we just started like last week. And we were just down in Arizona doing, 565 interviews with players and coaches. And
well, we cover it like nobody else. There's no outlet in baseball that does more heavy lifting than we do. We're proud of that, and we bring it to you right here on A's Cast Live. Now joining us, Steve Sachs, who will be my partner in Sacramento for A's Cast on NBC, which you will see on NBC Sports California. And then also it's going to be a simulcast. So everybody, you're going to be able to hear it on A's Cast and on the A's Radio Network, 650 KSTE. You'll also be able to hear it on the Bull in Las Vegas. So it's going to be TV, radio, all at the same time, pre and post. Steve Sachs, how are you?
Towny, I'm great. Good to be with you. Coming off of yesterday's game, I was there with Rivercast as well, taking on the Giants and looking at the stadium, and it is unbelievable. I'll tell you what, Sutter Health Park looks beautiful. Had a big league experience, if you will. As soon as I walked in the park, I thought, yeah, it feels like a big league park. We know that the attendance is going to be 14,014. That's a full stack right there. But I'm telling you, the atmosphere and the ambiance in the stadium is hitting the big league caliber. So the fans are going to love it. It's quaint, it's exciting, and a beautiful place to watch a game.
So you were there for when the Giants took on the River Cats. Just what's the difference? What are you seeing? What are you feeling that's different about the ballpark now?
It's just, they got the right center field scoreboard operational. It looks great. The field has been redone, and I saw it this winter, in the dead of winter, when it was just down to bare bones, just all dirt. They were, marking off the exact dimensions with the string and all that. Now I walked in there and it's like, whoa! The playing surface. I went down there to batting practice, and the playing surface is incredible. It almost looks like a pool table. It's just so fine. So I think the players themselves are going to have a great experience playing in this ballpark.
Well, we've talked about with Tampa and now also with the Athletics. I mean, there's something about, and you got your opportunity and your career to play at Fenway Park. You got to play at Wrigley Field. There's something about a smaller park, the intimacy that you're going to get, because everybody want to go 40+ thousand. Next thing you know, if you're not good, there's a lot of empty seats. Now it's going to be a packed ballpark. Was the game between the Giants and the River Cats, was it sold out?
Oh, sold out. Yeah, there was in the seat there. And it was a good game. 4-3, the River Cats won this game. And it was great. And the fans, you could tell, loved it. Players loved it. And they're gonna enjoy a new clubhouse there. The A's are in the field, brand new clubhouse, a double-decker. And they went all out to make this as best that they possibly could. So it's going to be fun for everybody.
All right. Before we talk about how big this is for Max Muncy, we have to talk about injuries. Injuries are inevitable. They're going to happen. Two of the main guys, Otanez is going to start on the IL, and now Zack Gelof on the hamate bone. This is your specialty, second base. We are expecting a big rebound year from Zack Gelof. It will now start that way. For this young man in his career, how tough is this blow?
It's very tough. Big mental, challenge for him right now, coming off, a year that he wanted back and make this thing turn around real fast. He was certainly doing it in spring training. He looked great in spring training. And then this happens. My brother experienced the same problem with the broken hamate bone and the rehab and whatnot. And even when you come back, it's still not perfect. So it's going to be some time before he gets up to what he's 100%. But he'll come back and, he'll be as good as ever. So he's just got to go through the process. It's just another test, and he'll do it. Just remember what he did in spring training and, take that into the game when he gets back.
Well, I remember Dr. King, the orthopedic surgeon for the Raiders, always told me, he goes, broken bones, that's good scenario because bones heal. Hamate bone, they just take out, right? You don't need your hamate bone. It breaks, you take it out. We first learned this in '89 with Jose Canseco when it happened to him. It's just, it's your hand. Obviously, it's going to take some time. What's the mentality?
Yep.
Like, what advice would you give to Zack Gelof when, after surgery, and it's going to take some time just to keep the spirits up, keep the edge there, right? He was starting to have a good spring.
Yes.
What advice would you give to him?
Yes. Just remember that it's only a short-lived thing. It's the test, and that hamate bone is right about here, and it's a bear. I mean, when you catch the ball, it's it's just catching the ball hurts, swinging the bat hurts. Everything hurts when you damage that hamate bone. You take that thing out. It takes some time to heal up, but he's going to come back. And the best advice I could give Zack is remember what you were doing in spring training. You were killing it, made big strides. And I see him hitting the ball the other way out of the ballpark to right field. And I mean, that tells me he's tracking the baseball. So you should see that 188 strikeout number that he had tagged on his back. He wants to get rid of that. That number is going to come down this year. I really believe that.
All right, for young Max Muncy, we just did the interview with him. We believe that Max Muncy would come up at some point. It was about his time. Injuries would happen. We didn't think it would be opening day, but now Max Muncy will be on the opening day roster. What is that like as a guy who's been banging on the door, a first-round draft pick, and then now here you go, you're on the plane, and you're up to Sacramento, then on to Seattle to make your debut?
Just believe it when they think when you start to think this has got to be a meant to be thing. What are the odds of this happening like this? Well, maybe that's the way it is. Maybe it's meant to be that he's here, and so he's got to take that fresh in his mind into the ballpark every day and say, "I deserve to be here. I belong here." And he's a very talented young man. That's why he was drafted so high, and he can play. Just remember that don't be in too awe of everybody. You respect everybody, but you fear nobody. And you always show the respect, but you come there and say, hey, I deserve to be here too. And just go out and play as hard as you can. Let the chip fall where they.
That is a great point right there. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to give the respect to everybody.
Absolutely.
But there's a reason why I'm here, and it's now my time. It's now my time to be one of you. Too many times the moment's too big for guys, and maybe they give a little too much respect to everybody. You got to believe in yourself that it's your time to be one of what we see in Major League Baseball, to be one of the guys.
Chris, you exactly right. You nailed it. And one thing I'd like to say is you got to have that inner confidence. So the cockiness, if you will, but not outwardly, because that's disrespectful. And I believe in respect everybody. But you got to have that thing inside of you that is, man, I don't want to use the word right here on A's Cast, but you got to have a little bit of that in you. Down deep inside, you got to be a tough dude downside and say, just bring it on, fellas. I got something for you. And play your heart out and be respectful. You play the game right, but you got to have a little bit of that. You know what? I'm going to show you what I got too.
Well,
I mean, don't fear anybody.
And I think about your career, a lot of these young guys get called up to bad teams, right? So you're coming up to a bad team. It is what it is. Not you. You're coming up. I mean, your first taste was in a World Series year. You're coming up to a team where guys have won MVP awards, all-stars. They've played in most, because remember, those Dodger guys you were playing with, they had those battles with the Yankees in the World Series, whether they won or lost. I mean, there was a ton of experience. They all had money. You were coming to a club that was filled with stars.
Yes, and I'm so grateful I got to play on a team. Well, first of all, I hated the guys growing up because I hated the Dodgers growing up. But that changed when I got to the big leagues, of course. But when I got there, like you said, Towny, these guys knew how to play. They had World Series experience, and I was just button up the lip and listening, sponge up as everything that I possibly could, and it was a great experience. Now, the situation with the A's is a great experience for like Max Muncy. He's coming on to, I believe, a surging team, a team that's just climbing over itself to get better, and they're doing all the right things, the right steps to get themselves in a position to be playoff bound this year. That's really exciting. Is when you're growing with everybody else. This makes cohesiveness with the team when you're growing that way. And that's what we got with the A's this year.
Versatility is such a name of the game now. And, guys grow up and, like, you're a shortstop. But most best athletes, you're either going to play shortstop or center field, whether you're going to be an outfielder or an infielder. And then you get drafted as a shortstop. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, we're going to have you play some third. We're going to have you play some second. Good thing about Muncy, he's a shortstop, played a lot of second base. Urias has played a lot of second base this spring. Matt Schumann's played a couple games at second base. Just talk about as an infielder, it may not be comfortable at first, but you better learn how to play all the positions. You want to be in the big leagues right now. Versatility is the name of the game.
I had a conversation with my good friend Steve Garvey, and he said when he played first base, Walter Olson came down the dugout, and they asked him, they needed somebody. He said, because he wasn't a first baseman, he's a third baseman. He said, have you ever played first base before? And Garvey says, oh, sure. He says, well, you're in there tomorrow. And, the rest is history. Look, when you come to spring training now, the benefit is you bring 3 different gloves with you. You got an outfielder's glove, you got one on the corner, and one up the middle. And that's just the way it is today in baseball. These guys are such great athletes that they can be pretty malleable. They can play in position and really not lose anything defensively. The defensive runs saved and whatnot, they're going to stay pretty much in there in competition with the guys that play there all the time. That's how great the athletes are today. Max Muncy can do this. He can play second base. If you can play shortstop, you can play anywhere.
It is different, though. It definitely is different. The angles are different. The throw is different.
You got that runner coming behind you, buddy. On the double play. It's like you can't see him sometime on the ball that's, kind of hit up the middle, and you can't see that guy. So it is different. Yes, it is. No question about it.
And then we throw you a third. Get ready. The hot shots come real fast. There's a reason why they call it the hot corner.
Yeah, and the first step is the most important. You don't have to be a fast guy when you play third base, but you have to be quick. You got to be a quick first step, and then you'll be okay. But that ball's, I played a little bit of third in the minor leagues too. That ball, man, it gets down there in a hurry. And you also got to make a play coming in on the swing and bunt and whatnot. So it's a very demanding position, but that kind of athlete of a guy can do that. He can play that position.
Speaking of your good friend Steve Garvey, we've had him on the show. How many times, Cody, do you think we've had Garvey on? 3-4 times?
At least, yeah.
So we love Steve Garvey. I've done a show with him about, because like everybody thought of Garvey as just a first baseman. Like, Garvey played defensive back in football at Michigan State in the Big Ten.
Yes, he did.
We did a whole thing with him about, do you think about playing in the NFL and everything? Don't go to sleep on the athleticism of the great Steve Garvey.
Yeah, he told me because, I'm a big Notre Dame fan. And he said one of the first games I played against was Notre Dame, and I had the first 4 tackles in the game. And he's got a great story when he talks about where O.J. Simpson ran him over in the end zone for a touchdown. But Garv got to play big-time Division I, football and with Michigan State. So, Steve Garvey was a great athlete, no question about it.
I got to tell you, I'm super fired up. I'm getting these feelings like my kids are home from college and they wanted to do something. And so they're down in Southern California right now at a resort. My wife's like, you should come and you can play golf. And I was like, I'm staying home. I'm getting ready. I this weekend was like my finality of golf in the off season. Like, I didn't want to go. I probably should have gone, but I'm like, I'm getting ready. Like, I feel like I'm antsy right now. I'm getting antsy. I have that Opening day is here, our journey, because this is a journey of the unknown. We've never done this, right? We're leaving one city to another city, a new ballpark. There are so many. We got players. We got new players. We're expecting the team to be good. There is so many. We're going to be doing TV and radio and streaming, and there's a lot of unknown. And I can't tell you how excited I am to start this journey with you.
Thank you, buddy. I am too. I can't believe how excited I am for this. Did you notice? You like it, Towny? Oh wait, over here. You like this?
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, the new one, yeah, I really like that. This is one of 3 that I'm going to be sporting out here. But look, this team is so exciting to me. I mean, definitely made marketable difference last year from the previous, but they did 19 games better. And I expect this team to be way better even than last year. This is going to be an exciting place to watch baseball. The team is growing. They're growing together. They're going to have conversations 20 years from now and say, remember when we started our career in the big leagues together and the things that we did? Who knows how far this team's going. This is one thing I want to put out there right now. In 1988, when we won the World Series, we were picked by the pundits, the aficionados, to be 4th in our division. That's where we were picked when we won the World Series in 1988. You're picked to finish 4th in your division. So, I mean, anything can happen, and I really expect the A's to get in the playoffs this year. No question about it.
Well, one thing we're going to talk about on opening day on Thursday, and then we'll talk about again with you when we open up at Sutter Health, is a big storyline is basically this is going to be different from an offensive and defensive standpoint. The ballpark is different. Oakland was a pitcher's ballpark. Marine Lair, big ballpark, foul territory.
Right.
So now you're going to Sacramento, smaller, warmer, more offensive. Obviously, the A's always hit more home runs on the road than they do at home. This is going to be a different. The ballpark, the 162 games, the splits of home and road will probably be more similar now than they have been in the past.
It's a great point. And if you hit the ball here, especially in the summer, it's going to go. This park is more suited, I think, for the Athletics because look at the Athletics team. This is an extremely, pardon the pun, athletic ball club. This is a very athletic ball club. And that plays good for this ballpark too, especially stretching the doubles into triples, etc. This park's going to be suited for this team that is very athletic.
Well, we've loved having you on, getting ready for the season. Enjoy the 4 games in Seattle, and then I will see you game 1 in your hometown. Steve Sachs, Major League Baseball coming to your hometown. How about that?
I can't wait, my friend. We're going to have a great time this year, Towny, and we got a great team that we're working with all over, so I can't wait to get started.
We'll see you in Sacramento.
All right, my friend.
2-time World Series champion, 5-time All-Star Steve Sachs, who will be my partner on NBC Sports California. Yeah, the journey. The journey is starting on Thursday. First 4 games are going to be in Seattle, and then we'll be in Sacramento, our new digs. And hopefully this team gives us exactly what we think they can, and, and they improve. And they improve to a standpoint of we're talking about a 500 season or more than 80 wins. And, the reality is once you're over 500, now you're in the playoff mix because of the wild cards. You can win 84, 85 games and be in the postseason. That's a great thing about adding more people in the postseason. Can this team do that? Maybe. But that's a great thing about sports. As you saw Colorado State lose on the buzzer beater by Maryland yesterday in the tournament. And it's it's the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat, right? The old wide world of sports. The reality is there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. It's what we sign up for. We didn't sign up for everybody gets a trophy. That's not how this plays. In professional sports, somebody's winning and somebody's losing. Everybody's talented. Everybody gets paid a lot of money. Everybody is great. These are the best players in the world. You tee it up for 162 games. Somebody's winning. Somebody's losing. Question is it your time to be one of those teams that starts winning? This is what you've all wanted. The opportunity to be an everyday player, the opportunity to compete, the opportunity to be a big leaguer, the opportunity to have the glory, the glitz, the money, everything that goes with this. This is your time. You got a coaching staff that's been the same coaching staff for a long, long time. They get it. You got a front office that they've got we got a really smart front office. Everything is in place. But now it comes down to what? It comes down to the players, right?
Mm-hmm.
Comes down to the players. You win or you lose. And if you lose, it's miserable. There's nothing worse than losing in baseball because it's every day of losing. And then there's nothing better than winning in baseball because it's every day. You can't wait for the games. You can't wait to listen, to watch. You can't wait as a fan for the games. You're talking about going, hey, tonight it's at 7 o'clock. These guys are pitching. You can't wait for that every day. When they're terrible, whoo, boy, it's long. We've had a long 2 seasons. I'm tired of it. I want to see some winning. And I believe these guys have this opportunity because they have shown us, right? This isn't a total sales job. Brent Rooker had one of the best years in baseball last year. Lawrence Butler is one of the young dynamic players. J.J. Bleday is a dynamic player. Center fielder with pop and extra base hits. What if Jacob Wilson is a guy winning a batting title? What if Jacob Wilson wins the batting title? What if Tyler Soderstrom, these guys are first-round picks of the A's. And, oh, by the way, Nick Kurtz is coming. Another home run yesterday. Everybody wants to slow play it let's give him some time. But the guy who was the 4th overall pick last year, who some people believe was the best pick in the draft, this big kid, slugging first baseman who has a great eye and can play defense, he's showing up. If he goes down to the minor leagues and mashes, he's showing up. That's a great problem to have. But there's excitement. There's some athletes who can play on this team. 2 years ago, not so much. 2 years ago, we were talking about Jace Peterson.
Aletnis Diaz.
I mean, come on, man. Now we're talking about legit options of guys who can play.
And another first-round pick's on the roster, Max Muncy. So you have another guy that you were drafted in the first round.
Super athletic guy with some pop, right? Gelof was a second-round pick. I mean, you got dudes, guys that you've raised. You drafted, you raised them, and now is the time. And always with everything in baseball, the question will be about pitching. How much, can this team get more innings? You got to get more. 13 starting pitchers last year. Got to get more innings from the starters. Got to get more consistency. Something we don't bring up a lot that's also really exciting this year is this is a training wheels are off Mason Miller year. The Kraken. He comes out of the bullpen. Oh, God. I mean, those teams oh, my, here he comes. I mean, this is now a year where we saw it in spring. Just Mason Miller as a guy is more, last year he wasn't even the closer going into the year. It just evolved quickly into that. Well, now he's had a whole off season. You're the guy. This is his role. He's been an all-star. Training wheels are off. He's going to pitch more. I mean, how exciting is that? That Mason Miller, one of the most dynamic pitchers in baseball, who now all of a sudden has a changeup too. I mean, he always had it when he was a starting pitcher, but now he's refined it. I mean, now he's bringing smoke, but now you're getting really a full year of here's Mason Miller, Major League Baseball. Good luck. How are you not excited about that?
The Kurtz thing. I mean,
you seem overwhelmed with excitement.
Well, I mean, the
wake up, Cody. Come on. It's the start of the season. Let's go.
I mean, everything that's going into it. I mean, Langoliers potentially being a 30 home run guy. Lawrence Butler, who Jim Bowden mentioned as a breakout candidate. I think he kind of broke out already, but sure. He could.
I mean, it was 73 games.
So let's see.
Lawrence Butler's got to do it for 162.
Bowden said yesterday on the award-winning front office show, he thinks Butler could be a 30-30 guy. I love that. I'd love to see him go 30. I wanted to see him go 20-20 last year. He fell just shy. So, push that expectation to be 30-30. Play in Atlanta in your hometown in the All-Star game. There's a lot of expectations around him. Bleday, I mentioned Langoliers. You mentioned Jacob Wilson winning the batting. This a full year. Hopefully he can stay healthy for the full year. And then Soderstrom, and then obviously everyone's excited for Nick Kurtz to come up. But I'm with you. The pitching is what's going to be what you need to watch. What happens with Springs, Severino. What are you going to get out of Beto this year? And then Joey Estes as a fifth starter or whatever he lines up in the rotation, potentially being the guy that starts the home opener in West Sacramento is exciting.
Way better than the past couple of years. There's no doubt about it. But there's a good product, too. I mean, this is the thing is when you got these dynamic athletes, you're looking at a good product. You know, with all these people who are going to get Major League Baseball for the first time, and you're in Sacramento, and all of a sudden here comes the Cubs and the Padres and the Mets, and oh my God, and then later on you'll have all the teams coming through. We do have a Max Muncy versus Max Muncy date where we've always joked that the original Max Muncy was here, couldn't hit, goes to LA, turns into a star player, but I've always called him Max Muncy 1.0. And then when we drafted this new Max Muncy, it was Max Muncy 2.0. So 1.0 versus 2.0 will happen on what date?
According to our friend Sarah Langs from MLB.com, May 13th through the 15th when the A's play in LA against the Dodgers. Max Muncy 1.0 versus Max Muncy 2.0. Remember, they both shared the same birthday, August 25th, obviously 1990 for 1.0, August 25th, 2002 for Max Muncy 2.0. So May 13th through the 15th. In LA, we're going to see the two Max Muncies. Real quick before we go, grab any home April games with no ticket fees and the perfect opportunity to reserve your seats for the start of the A's inaugural season in West Sacramento, which includes their opening series against the Cubs and other exciting matchups against the Mets, Padres, Rangers, and White Sox. Hurry. This limited time offer ends Thursday, March 27th at first pitch, which is 7:10 p.m. Pacific on Thursday. Athletics.com/fee-free. That's athletics.com/fee-free.
You ready to go?
Yeah. I'll be in West Sac tomorrow to check out the set for our A's Cast setup and the A's Cast on NBC. Make sure we're good to go. And then we're back at it on Thursday at NBC.
Next time we see you, we'll be in San Francisco for the start of the season, or the next time you hear us. A's and Mariners to kick off the season. One more Cactus League game next. Chris Carey will have the action for you. We'll see everybody on opening day.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall. FolsomLakeFord.com.
That ball is out of here.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.